Hey, y'all.
Hey, oh,
All right.
everybody. How's it
Hey,
going? Welcome to another
All right.
technology
yeah,
interview. How's it going? We have Chris, Otim, and Raja. Chris and Otim are actually the first twin types that I have here. So we're going to go through a little bit their charts, and Raja is here. He's
Yep.
an INTJ. So we'll just take a look quick. And of course, I had to reboot my computer, so I don't have the graphic opened. We had some technical issues. So maybe Chris and Otim just start talking while I find the graphic. Tell us a little bit about what a twin type is and what it means and how awkward it is to be a twin type with someone.
yeah, Chris, I'll let you have the floor.
Oh, you'll let me blast? Thank you.
Yeah.
So generous. So generous.
I think being a type twin is fantastic, especially since if I didn't have Otim around, I'd be wondering if OP was wrong about my parts. But just interacting with Otim, like the things that we say sometimes, like behind the scenes, like when we're chatting together, we will say the same exact thing, right? And it's in this most bizarre, eerie way. I can't even. It blows my mind, right? It's just so creepy. I mean, of course, there's differences. Like we're not 100% the same, right? But,
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, I wanted to too, but I was gonna leave it. I was just gonna be like, that's like too much. But yeah.
I apologize. Go on.
You're ruining his blast. He was going good.
I was in a study stream, and now I
Yeah,
have no
your
idea.
turn to continue now, Otim. You got to continue his sentence now. So what's the type twin thing doing? He can't do it.
Oh man, wait, is it
Well,
me?
anyway, so well, go ahead if you can.
Yeah, so yeah, just to reiterate Chris's point that I think because our type is NITI, sleep, consume, play, and I
Yeah,
guess
for
our
the record.
similarities are oh, you got the graphic up.
Yeah, I was
Our
waiting for you.
similarities are kind of really obvious when we talk about things, and we seem to have the exact same process. Like if we see something, we'll have the same thought process about that thing. Obviously we have our own life experiences, and we do have like our differences in like life experiences and stuff, but it's just that cognitive process always seems to be in sync. And it's even like to the point that like I'll say something and he'll say it at the exact same time, or like if we're we're in the same Facebook group, and like I'll watch like someone's post or a video or something, I'll go to comment and I'll see he commented the exact same thing. It's just like
That's weird.
it's just that's like normal between us. Um, and it's just stuff like that, just like the same process. And so obviously it's it does reaffirm that I guess we do have the same, our types are correct, I guess. So that is the benefit of having of like actually interacting with your type twin. You can see like, am I actually this type? So but yeah.
Nice. Well blasted, buddy. Okay, so we'll get into it really quick. So you guys are both TINI. You start off with sleep, go to consume, and then play. So you guys are both blast last. And and everyone here has double masculine in their consume, so double feminine blast, all of us.
Yes.
And we have Raja here, INTJ. So we're both NI, both feminine NI. All of us have feminine NI. And then we have, he starts blast, play, and then consume, and sleep blast.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So let's dive into a little bit what's going on here. So I want to go into feminine NI because Raja spoke about it last time into depth. But maybe Chris, do you have something on feminine NI a little bit before we?
Yeah, I mean, feminine NI for me is very watery. Like I want to make plans and I want to stick to them, but I can't seem to do that. It really irritates me sometimes.
Otim, do you have a type twin confirmation on that?
Yeah, for sure. It is it's reluctant to stick to stuff, and it's also like it's reluctant to. It's very similar to a lot of the things Raja said, where it's kind of like it's to do with it's more contingency planning rather than planning.
Yeah.
Like it's like avoiding the worst case scenario as opposed to. It's not really about getting a goal. It's just about avoiding. I mean, you are moving forward towards the goal, but it's prioritizing avoiding failure. So like,
Yes.
it's trying to leave
Yeah.
as many like options open, as many ways out if things go wrong. So it's like,
Wow.
it doesn't really care about sticking to anything because it just wants the subject to like.
Right. It's not. It's about not losing.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like whenever oh wow, yeah, that's exactly how I make plans. It's like, all right, what are the 3 worst case scenarios? Let's build the plan around not getting completely wrecked by those 3 worst case scenarios. Because and again, this might just be my, masculine sensory, but my whole thing is like, live to fight another day, right? As long as I'm alive, right, that'll be enough.
Yeah.
Do you ever like after something has happened, do you ever go back and like think about how you could have done it differently for like next time?
Sure. It's not really self-flagellating in the way that I know that a lot of people can do it.
The sleep process, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Which
not.
for you.
Yeah, it's more of like, okay, I got caught out of position. In the moment, I'm not thinking about it. It's only once I have SE'd my way through it that I'm like, okay, not what did I do wrong, but like, what were the steps leading up to me getting caught out of position? And then evaluating honestly, yes, I could have done things differently or not, but would that have caused different problems, or is this just chaos that I had to deal with?
Right. Yeah. I guess that's a very, very hopeful way of like looking back. That's really good. I guess I look back. I just focus on the fact that like I don't want that to happen again. Like I guess, and it's interesting because I've tried to learn about how to reflect on things, and I guess I get a lot of advice from TE people. So, and like they say a lot of the things you're saying, especially like INTJs. Tim Ferriss talks about like a very structured way of like analyzing situations you're stressed about or failures or things like that. He always says it's like about asking the right questions. So I don't know if that's just like a TE thing and that's why you're also good at analyzing it. But for me, it's just very like, that was bad. Like, I don't want that to happen again. That's pretty much it. I don't know.
Do you like figure out a concept to stop it from happening again, or like in the future you just sort of remember what happened? You're like, okay, let's sort of avoid it. Like you'll use your masculine SE to remember that case, and then sort of try to plan around it now with your feminine NI, or what's that process?
What will happen is I'll be like, I don't want that to happen again. I'll think of a way, like NI way of it not happening again, like in the moment. And it'll be like 2 months. Yeah, and then 2 months later, when the moment it's like the situation presents itself, I'll probably make the mistake again because I'll forget about the pattern. Like I need to like
Good.
yeah.
No, I'm just saying that tracks with the math of having double activated SE.
Yeah, I'll just like go through I'll forget the pattern of like what was supposed to be the correct way of doing it, and I'll just kind of like I'll go through the situation again, but I'll be a bit more aware and like navigate it better. But I just won't do the plan that I originally had.
Well,
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
I feel a bit different on that. I feel like I'm constantly doing contingency planning scenarios in my head, whether it's already happened or something's going to happen in the future. And I'll do this, even when it's not in the moment. So like I'm trying to go to sleep at night or something, and I'll be thinking in my head, okay, what could I have done differently? And I'll be hyper aware of what I would like to it have looked like.
Oh yeah.
So if I'm ever in the situation again, it's not going to play out the same way, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I always find myself like, so mentally I will always have like ways I want it to be in the future, but like when it comes to that, like when it's the next day and it's like that same time when I need to do whatever I need to do, whether it's go to bed early, something in the moment will just make me not actually stick to the plan that I had earlier. Like I'll just be very I don't know, I just thought it was like the feminine and I of it, just
Okay,
not
I see.
into it.
Yeah,
Just
I'll be flexible on the sensory for myself.
yeah.
But when it involves other people, then I feel like I need to be more, I don't know, I need to do the plans that I've set in motion for the tribe.
Yeah. For the tribe, yeah. For the tribe, it's different because I feel like they'll cut me out if I don't. It's like a fear.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You got the same thing, Raja?
Sort of. So whereas for you guys, it sounds like remembering the plan and sort of the TI pairing with NI, right?
Yeah.
I guess for me, that's how it is in like personal relationships, emotional relationships, is like a thing will happen in my personal life. I'll be like, oh, this is not NF fun for me. I will SE my way through it. Once I've had some distance, I'll be like, okay, how did we get into this position? Why did I let this toxic person get the best of me? Why did I fall into that pattern? Cool. That's totally never going to happen again, you guys.
That's why you're single, right, Raja?
Bruh. And then like 2 weeks later, I'll be like, hey, how's your evening going? And then
Yeah. Oh,
and then in the moment, I'll be like, bro, what are you doing? No, why are you? No, stop. Don't put, I will cut off your thumbs.
Yeah, it's just the moment. It's just, you'll just not stick to what you thought was a better, like, thing to do.
Yeah,
But,
and whereas for me, I think it's more abstract or more, I guess, less about like planning and more about values.
values,
It's absolutely the same phenomenon with me.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Dope.
of that
Okay,
FI.
that's cool.
Because of your FI, yeah?
Because of the FI, actually.
Yes, yeah, because of my FI and your TI. I think that's where I'm seeing a difference.
What about you, Benjamin? Like, is it, and I don't know, do you relate to what we're talking about?
A little bit. I think I don't always need a plan to go forward and execute something.
Damn, that's not.
Yeah, everyone's like, what?
Just don't give up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't always need a plan of execution to jump in and go and do something. And if I've done it once or twice, then I'll start to develop that plan a little bit more.
Yeah. That's my preferred way. Like, if I can like have like a very unspecified plan. Yeah. And then tweak it as I go forward. That's my ideal.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
I can get behind that for sure. Well, because the sensory chaos is going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right? If your plan isn't flexible enough to accommodate the immovable sensory chaos that's going to happen, because that's how life works.
Yeah.
Then your plan is bad.
Right. Yeah, but then again,
we should get Lindsay.
The sensory chaos, right?
No, of course not.
Yeah, we should get Lindsay on here. I want to hear what it's like for like
more
feminine.
Just bring them all.
Like, oh man. But yeah, I agree. I do.
Cool. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the TE interface with NI and the TI interface with NI and see maybe with the different
Yeah.
stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess sort of I'm not sure. So there was a video in the class kind of recently, and it was talking about how like like thinking is thinking, right? And the only real difference is whereas TI is like reasons tied to identity, and TE is reasons tied to getting validation and sort of like the gold stars from the tribe. In this whole conversation, I don't like a lot of what you guys are saying with your feminine T or the flexible T.
It's masculine.
A lot of that tracks with. Oh wait, hang on. Your T is masculine though.
Yeah, we're all MF, so yeah.
Feminine FE.
Great.
What were you gonna say?
Well, what I was gonna say is that a lot of what you are saying, like in terms of how you process, like your NI, your feminine NI tied to T, right? However that manifests in all of us.
Yeah.
That, like, there are vastly more similarities than differences. And so I think that there might just be other, like, cultural factors at play, communication, like things that are outside of the realm of OP, right? Because, like, all this stuff about, yeah, contingency planning and piecing things together and, like, having this sort of detached, critical look at the NT world, like, that all seems really natural to us.
Yeah.
Raja,
So
maybe we can get a little more sensory here. Like, can we talk a little bit more about your TE and how it interfaces with NI rather than like in general?
I mean, like,
TE?
yeah, a lot of it is I just want as many gold stars as possible from the tribe members. So I'm going to be constantly like my TE is going to be banging blocks in a really presentational way so that I can get that validation from people being like, oh, wow, you're so smart. Your reasons are so good, right? And it's very demonstrative because that's like it's tied to the tribe validation. Working things out for myself in my head, I'm like, there just isn't as much value.
Oh.
So for me, it's like I never wanted gold stars from the tribe. Like, in fact, it sort of offended me to get gold stars because I'm like, this is my idea and you want to give me a little gold star? It doesn't mean anything to me.
I think it's like gold star, like not literal gold star.
No, but I was thinking of it like, you know, when you're like in like elementary or
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You do get gold stars on your papers for good work.
Right.
Yeah, like for me as well, like everything I did, if I thought of it, I know it's golden. So like you saying it's good is like, okay, like I knew that. Like, and if you say it's bad, I'm just gonna be irritated.
Yes.
And then after getting irritated, I'll be like, oh, actually, there is a problem there, and like adjust.
Yeah, but there's a way to offend you, like when they say it's bad. Like it is offensive if they like disqualify the fact that you have an independent thought, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, oh, you thought my idea was bad? It's all good. Here, like, let's refine it together. Like, let me throw this out there. Like, let's make the best idea that works for everybody. Whether that, right? So like, whether the everybody is a full tribe of people or just like the other human that I'm trying to work with. Like, you know, if it just needs to work for the tribe, whether that's 2 or 200.
Yeah, I mean, and I can like, I'm much better now dealing with that because I have like specific principles I'll use to like change the way I think about situations. So whenever I do something, I present my information with the assumption that there's a high probability that I'm wrong. And then when I say that to myself or have that assumption, it makes it easier for me to like flow with people.
Yeah,
like,
you guys are also double deciding, right? So it shouldn't be that
that's
painful as well.
Yeah. That's true as well.
Right. Do you get the same thing with values, Raja? Like if someone dismisses one of your values?
If somebody dismisses one of my values, okay, let me put it this way. As long as they only go as far as to dismiss it, totally fine. Like, I like what I like, you like what you like, live and let live, man. It's all good. We're cool. As soon as they start to actively infringe upon my value or the thing that I like because they don't like it or disrespect it, oh, I get real punchy.
Is there an example of like them infringing upon a value?
Yeah. So like, okay, here's a really good example. So back when I was in the theater world, one of the big things, I talked about this in our videos, like I hate being in the ensemble because I don't like that chunk of the process. It's not that I want to be the star, like I don't really care about that. I can have a really small part, but I only like to play one character. Like I like to be one character that tracks throughout the entire show.
Yeah.
And that's just like a thing that I like. It's a value of mine. I don't begrudge anybody for not liking that. I don't begrudge anybody. I don't even begrudge people if they're like, well, I'm not going to cast you because I need you to do this other thing, but this is the thing you want to do. We shouldn't work together. I'm super duper cool with that. Whatever, man. That's my FI and my whatever. But as soon as you're like, you shouldn't like that, I'm going to force you into a position where you have to do this thing that you don't like because this is what you should like instead. Off it. We're done. We're done. I will resent you.
Wow. See, like, I respect masculine FI, for sure. I think for me, it's all about, it's convenience. If you're inconveniencing me,
yes,
so that's when
sure.
Yes. I think that's just more TI, but like, I get really heated about inconveniencing me, and I remember at school, I used to I was super chill about everything, like everything. Like I was like, that's a little bit jarring, but like I understand why he's doing that. But the one thing, because like we're kids, like we messed with each other all the time, and like I was down for anything. And the one thing that I wouldn't tolerate and I'd get pissed off with is if someone like took my bag or something and like put it somewhere, or like took any of my stuff.
Objects,
and,
yeah.
And I just feel like that's not yours. Don't touch that. And I'd always like, and it's not like people were doing that to each other, but I was like, but you can't touch mine. Like that's just what I'm not okay with. So then that was it.
Yeah,
that was my line.
Chris, what happens if someone disqualifies like one of your values? Do you get offended or?
No, I'm like, that's cool. I mean, because my values would be feminine FE, right? So it's like whatever the tribe values, I'm like, whatever, that's great.
Yeah.
It's really about what I would get offended on is if they disqualified my reasons. So what we were talking about before. So like, because I've spent so much time processing what it is I think, if they say, oh, that's bullshit, I'm like what time have you put into this? Like
yeah. Like I don't mind them saying, oh, my reason is wrong. I just want them to talk in a way where they appreciate that I've put a lot of thought into it. And like, don't just be like, oh, you're an idiot, that's wrong. Just be like, oh, I understand why you think that. Like, actually understand how I think before you.
So do you think that's tied to your sleep as well? Like, because you guys are lead save your sleep, it's like, I have put in so much work to process this, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm like that even when it's other people as well. So I don't know if it's like sleep. Like if there's person A who has an idea and person B's like, that's stupid and like disregards it, I'll feel like, no, like, what is he thinking? Like, why is he thinking that way? Before trashing it, like maybe understand the nuance of it, or like, you know, where did it come from?
Maybe that's because there's sort of like an F coming into this. Like somebody is saying, I dislike or I devalue your idea. So if somebody comes in and says, okay, I see your idea, but what about this, and this, and this? I would appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like maintaining the F aspect while, you know, going through the reason.
I'm thinking if it's the opposite for maybe Raja, like if someone comes and disqualifies someone else's value, would he also?
Oh, I get super heated.
Right.
Super heated, because I'm like, how very dare you tell someone else what they should or shouldn't like when it doesn't affect you? Like, look,
Right.
if they're getting up in your business with if their FI is messing with your DI and your autonomy, fine. You can punch back at that. But man, they're just liking what they like. Why you gotta throw salt? Like,
You
why?
know, you know the really tricky thing about FE? Like, obviously, like, the point you're making is valid, 100%. When I'm in those situations, I'm also like, well, the person giving shit, that's also their value, and it's like hard to just be like, you shouldn't have that value either, and it's like everyone should be able to express their values, and it's like, but some are worse than others, but since I have Demon FE, I can't order them, so I'm like not in the position to like be like, don't do that, because I'm like, oh, I don't know, like maybe that's fine, you know, weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel so movable on people's values. Like I feel like my values change all the time, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Raj's
Exactly.
masculine values. I don't know if you.
Yeah, they don't really change. I think, but again, honestly, I'm gonna go back to, I think that again, on the spectrum, I think that I naturally tend more towards masculine FI, but I think that I learned that was just the best way, like that's just the best place to be rigid. And so like as I got more and more accommodating with my TE, that had to balance out in my FI, right? So like because I was so encouraged to invest in my savior feminine TE, right? If I was going to be here, as soon as one tips this way, this one has to give, right? So I became very entrenched in the masculinity of my values.
I think that's another good point, because we're all masculine identity here, and if someone attacks our identity, maybe that's where we get offended.
Yeah.
I think we have to do a cross check of more data, maybe, to see if someone has a feminine identity, if the same thing holds true.
Yeah. Especially like somebody with like savior or lead feminine DI.
Right. Okay.
Right. As opposed to, right. Because look, you know, somebody like Shannon, because her feminine FI is at the bottom, she's going to feel, right. Like there's different math at play for her feeling insecure.
Yeah. It might also come as a tidal wave if someone disqualifies her FI as well. So it's hard. It's hard to judge what would be. We should ask someone.
Sure.
Okay, I want to talk about a little bit about your perspectives on time. How do you see it?
Yes. Aha! Sweet.
Yeah. Let's start with Chris. Chris hasn't said much yet.
Yeah,
Sure.
Get it.
Time for me is something that I keep track of pretty consistently. I feel like it falls into the masculine sensory sort of area. Now there are times when I can get engrossed in something I'm enjoying. Like when I do web programming, for example, time can fly and I'm just not even aware of it. But I think most of the time I am aware of time.
Like you're in the moment aware? Like not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's not something that I'm not like sitting here and thinking, okay, 1 second, 2 second, you know, like that. But on some level, I'm aware of how much time has passed. And I don't know if this applies to you guys, but like I set alarms to wake up in the morning, but I don't need them. Like I wake up on my own before the alarm.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm like maybe subconsciously just always aware of time.
Yeah.
Do you live more in the now then, or more in the future, usually during most of your day?
Hard to say. I think maybe that's hard because I'm double activated SE, but I'm feminine NI. So like I think that I'm more in the moment because whatever's happening now, I have to move around. But I do make plans for my day.
Right.
But those can change on a whim. So,
oh, wow. Yeah. Let's go quickly to Manny to see just the type twin analysis.
Yeah, I agree with like all the stuff you said. Like I'm quite like pedantic about like time and like what I'm doing in my day. I'm very like if I waste time, I get anxious about the fact that, oh, like this time's gone by, I haven't like I'm wasting time. But at the same time, I do get engrossed in things. So like I'll get engrossed and then time will go by and I'll be anxious about the fact that I just wasted time. So I do get pedantic about it. And the sleep thing, I do use an alarm. I wouldn't say my body clock is like that good that I wake up every day on time. But if I don't put it on, or like sometimes I know I don't really need it as much as I put it on, basically. Sometimes I wake up like just before the alarm goes off. And do I live in the now of the future? I live in like a fake now. I live in like a now that I'm not really, really present. I'm like trying to be present, but it's not real. It's like I'm just like, because I guess it's because I have like sleep consumed play, and Chris probably won't relate to this as much because he has a better grip of his SE than me. But like, I just get really distracted by things, and like I'm a bit like restless and like scattered, and I'm doing stuff in the moment, but it's like they're not like significant things that I should be doing, and it's like a fake presence, I think.
Well,
Right.
because I dislike wasting time so much.
Yeah.
That's why I focus so much on the present moment.
And that's the thing, like I'll do stuff, waste time, and get really irritated that I waste time, and then it's like a weird cycle. Like I'll just go. It's like it feels like I go unconscious, and then I go conscious again. I'm like, what am I doing? Like this is so stupid, and then it's just like round and round. I'm much better now for sure.
Raj has been a good boy here, waiting patiently. He jumped up for a second with that fake time thing. So let's hear from Raj. Yeah. What do your perspective time?
That's very cool. Yeah, so I think about this a lot. For me, I'm like my whole phrase is like nothing is linear. So that idea of fake now is really succinct, because like time has weight, and like what even is now, man? Right? That's right. That's what I get really hippy-dippy about it, because what is now? Right?
We
So
could
like,
really
like this is philosophical. It's not like actually
I know.
how you
we
feel.
could get really
No, but that's what I mean.
Sure.
Is that
Okay.
is that I do get like time is very tied to my NF. So like, yes, there is a component where if you were to say like, hey Raj, I'm gonna start a timer, tell me when you think 7 minutes are up, I could probably do it. But I'm always thinking like past and present and future relative to each other. Like it all is happening now depending on what your frame of reference is.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that how you're always conscious of time throughout the day? Or is it something that like you've philosophized about and gone?
I subjectively feel very conscious of it. Of like going through the day, being an hour ahead of myself mentally, being 2 hours, a week, a month, a year, and then snapping back and forth as linear time moves on. My brain is sort of passing back and forth and like dipping into the past as needed.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, in the beginning of our conversation, we were talking about running scenarios in our mind, contingency planning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of like, I relate to what you said, but that's when I'm like thinking in the past or in the future. I'm like thinking about these scenarios. Like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
But I try so hard, like, because over the course of my life, I've come to the belief that the present moment is all we have control over. And, you know, the past is the past and the future is the future. So I try so hard to like stop and smell the roses, so to speak.
That's a strong SE there, Chris. That's that's a really
there's actually
thank you. You're my demon.
I'm trying to remember. There was something I was watching yesterday or the day before, and it was actually talking about how it was a very deep conversation. It was Lewis House, and he was talking to Jason Silva. And they were kind of talking about the kind of existential dread that everyone feels when like they think of like death and things like that. And they were talking about how an antidote to that is literally stopping and smelling the roses, like actually being present, because the effect that it has on you, like neurobiologically, is it keeps you in a kind of satisfied state for like if you actually have, say, experiences that take you away, like, you know, in a moment you have, I don't know, let's say a psychedelic experience that really grips you. It's not really transitory. It's not like something you experience and then that's it, it's gone forever. You carry that with you for an extended period of time. So he was talking about the value in taking time of like jumping out of your routines to experience stuff and get like fulfillment and like your moments, because you carry that with you.
Yeah.
And you can make sense of like death in
we're
a kind of internal way.
We're almost at a time talking about time here, but I just wanted to jump in quick and say my experience of time, like physics aside, philosophy aside, my subjective experience, it feels like the past until the present is linear, and then the future is full of like branching paths that I can choose, and one of them will become the past, one of them will become linear, and then all the others will just sort of collapse, like fade away. That's like my subjective. Yeah
I guess
Okay.
I agree with that up until when you said like there's multiple paths, like
right.
So up to that I agree, and when you said one of them would become the correct one and the rest will fall away, I never like consider the fallback. Like I'm just constantly, like every time the moment continues, it's like there's a new set of paths. There's a new set of, like there's no consideration of like, oh, it's gonna become the past as such. I'm always looking ahead.
Yeah, it's obviously also wrong. It's just like the way it feels to
right.
Yeah.
It sounded very double observery, basically.
Could be, yeah. Raja, do you have one last thing to say quick before we sign off?
Yeah, no, I think that there are a lot of, I think that the relationship between NI, feminine NI and masculine SE does sort of lend itself to a swooshy and also rigid experience of time. Like it's either super, super swooshy or contingency, or it is stop and smell the roses like Chris was talking about, like immediate present sensory strong. So I don't know. I think that barbell is really interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
I think also most of my day I'm just unaware of time and I'm just sort of floating through life and until I'm actually focused on becoming aware. But that's just me, I guess. I don't know.
Dig it.
You have something else, Chris, to say before we sign off? No?
I agree with what's been said. Don't really have much to say or add to it other than I am more aware of time. I am not like totally in the moment. It's always in the back of my mind.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming out.
Likewise. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Good fun. Yeah. Talk to y'all later.